Computer Vision by Peyton Dugas. Come on. I've decided to call my project Group Vision. Before we get into discussing why I call it Group Vision, let's just learn, I guess, a little bit about what I foresee Group Vision doing. So I see Group Vision being an online image labeling and recognition tool. There exists out there projects that can label an image. For instance, a popular one might be called LabelFlow, which I use. That labels images. And then a separate project called TensorFlow, which creates a model to recognize those images. But I'm not sure why, but I don't think that there is really a project that exists that tackles both of these areas and makes it really efficient or really easy for someone to just label some images and then immediately train a model that is able to recognize those separate images or whatever is in those images. And so that's what I want to do with this project. And I think there are really two reasons why I think this could be pretty useful. The first one, like I just explained, it would make it a lot easier for someone to label some images and then immediately train a model instead of labeling these images and figuring out how to save them and then taking them over to TensorFlow and training a model. It's somewhat complicated. But also, I think an even more important aspect of this is that, let's say, for example, in this class, we have, 20 people? If we want to create a model to recognize each person in this class individually, it won't do just to take one picture of every person and label them as their name or whatever class we want, however we want to classify them, and then train that model. We're going to need at least 10, maybe 20 pictures of each person labeled. And for one person to do that, that's like 200, 400 pictures and labeling. So that's going to take a heck of a long time. If, what I like to call farming out the labeling, we get each person to take 10 pictures of themselves and then label themselves and send this, save this labeled image to like a group database or group project, and then we use all those labeled images to create a model. It's going to be quite a bit easier and more efficient. So I came up with this project in the summer as I was doing some surfing. As you can see in the top right, the Surfline image, and there are some people in the water. Surfline is a surf forecasting application where I can check the surf, see if it's good enough for, if I want to go. One thing I noticed they didn't have was like a crowd representation. They don't say if the crowd's heavy or light, which is something that a lot of places do. I know Google does this and some other softwares. And I thought, well, maybe I can just find a model in TensorFlow that is able to count how many people are in the water. But if you look, they're just little black specks, and it's kind of difficult to recognize. Obviously, you can count them, so a computer should be able to figure that out. So I started labeling some images with surfers in them, and I realized pretty quickly that it takes quite a while to label one image, and I'm going to need quite a few of them from different places, and because every surfing location looks quite a bit different. So I thought, well, maybe I can get other people to work on this for me. So I started creating a little project so that I could, like I said, farm out this labeling task. And then I had a similar idea with creating a model to recognize car models, because I'm just kind of curious what percentage of cars exist on the road. So these are two projects that I think, or two tasks that I think, if I complete this project, could be solved pretty quickly. So like I was talking about, LabelFlow is an image labeling software or project, and TensorFlow is the machine learning modeling, or a model, the project that makes like the models to train off of these labels. And those are two pretty popular ones. I'm going to be using TensorFlow in my project, but probably not LabelFlow. So the targeted users would be, I suppose, first someone who is interested in building a model with their own data and images. There are a lot of models that exist out there, for instance, determining, I don't know, if someone is a boy or a girl, or if something's a piano or a chair or a dog or a cat, or just simple things like that that are rather common. But like I said, in class, in respect to our class, determining if this picture of somebody is Peyton or Josiah or whoever else, that's a little bit, that's more subjective, right? So I think that could be a pretty common use case. Another use case would probably be someone looking for a model that has already been created. Let's say there are two people in the class that want a model of all the people, a model that recognizes all the people in class, and somebody already created it. Then you can go onto my application and hopefully download that and use it yourself. And also, like I said earlier, I think it should be pretty easy, hopefully, for someone to label some images and then immediately create a model that recognizes those images. So it could be fun for someone to just play around with some image recognition stuff. So this is a pretty crude approximation of what I think my web app might look like. So you can see there's models, there's labeling, and there's learning. So in the labeling tab, you'll have a picture and you'll be able to label, like as you can see, this is a person, this is the sun, this is a mountain. You can label and then hopefully save that information. Then in the learning tab, you can go to your sets of labels. So like the set of 400 pictures for all the people in the class and that are labeled, it'll train a model based off that set, and then you'll be able to recognize people from that. Then the last tab is the Models tab, which I foresee being a place where you can look for previously created models, whether or not you created them or somebody else, and they shared them, and you can download that. My proposed technology, what technology am I going to use? Fortunately, there's this JavaScript library called TensorFlow.js that's for like training models in the browser and deploying them on like Node.js, which I'm pretty familiar with. So I'm going to be using TensorFlow.js, Node.js, and probably Next.js, React.js, and Material UI for like kind of the front-endy stuff. I don't think I'm going to be using Labelflow. I put it in here because it's an open source project. I might look at some of the stuff they've done. And I'm not certain what database I'm going to use. There probably won't be a database in the beginning of the project, so I'll have to determine what the data will look like and what will fit that the best. But probably MongoDB, I like that, or maybe AWS or Azure SQL database. And I'll probably deploy it on Heroku or AWS, so we'll see. So collected data, what will a successful project look like? So I imagine, like I said earlier, that once I'm finished with this project, hopefully the whole class or anyone can label some data and train a model pretty easily. Then also the collaboration of labeling for a larger pool. So it'd be fun if maybe we could create a model that could recognize everybody in the class, like I was saying earlier. And then maybe just being able to count surfers, I could get some people in the class to help me label some surfers. We can see if we can get that to work. So I think that's what a successful project would look like. And then here are my milestones. I don't think this has to be part of the presentation, but it's in the slides. So there you go.